Joining us now, incoming White House Press Secretary, Communications Director for the Trump administration, Sean Spicer. Sean, good morning. Here we go.
Boy, we got a lot.
I know.
The wind-up, the delivery, the pitch.
Let's just go there. Are you guys going to move the press room to EOB? Is that a real thing?
What we were talking about yesterday was for the first couple of weeks having the briefing be in a larger room so that we only have 49 seats in the Brady briefing room. And the idea has been, and it literally has just been a discussion at this point, is to look at other rooms that exist that hold a greater capacity so that more folks can actually attend these briefings.
So is there going to be a move?
Right now, we're working through the logistics to see what's possible for the first week. It's not as easy as just moving the folks over to the briefing room for that day. We've got to figure out how you logistically make that happen. So we're working through the hoops. It may be that we do the first day in the briefing room and the second days or third day in the bigger room, but we're trying to figure out what the demand's going to be for the first week and beyond.
Sean, it's Jeremy Peters. John Lewis just said a few minutes ago, I'm sorry, Elijah Cummings just said a few minutes ago that he would like the president-elect to pick up the phone and call John Lewis, reach out, extend a hand. Is that something that the president-elect might do or would consider doing?
Sure. I mean, I think he's shown a willingness to reach out to all Americans. I think he understands the important, iconic nature of someone like John Lewis when it comes to fighting for voting and civil rights. Today he's going to sit down with Martin Luther King III and others to talk about that legacy. So I wouldn't put it past him to do that. But I think there's got to be a willingness for John Lewis, who has fought so hard for voting and civil rights, to not use language about delegitimizing an election and the integrity of our voting system that he's frankly been a real champion of. So I wouldn't put it past him to pick up the phone and call him, but there's got to be a willingness on both sides.
Harold?
Sean Spicer, good morning. Harold Ford. The president-elect is quoted talking about health care in the Washington Post and saying that he is one that would want to see not only a replacement, but he's calling for better coverage and lower prices. Can you give us a sense of how that might look and how that might contrast with Republican and Democrat proposals?
Yeah, well, look, I think, Congressman, one of the things that he's looking at is the business side of this. How can you work with the drug companies to bring some of the costs down through greater competition on the pharmaceutical side? But then he's also looking at the market access piece of this in terms of the market competition piece, which is how do we make plans compete with each other over state lines? How do we create greater competition among plans? Maybe offer additional options for people who don't necessarily need a Cadillac version that ensures that the competition itself between the things that are purchased, whether it's medical device or on the pharmaceutical end, those which are major cost drivers in healthcare, we negotiate better deals with them. But then secondly, that there's greater competition among the plans themselves through access to be able to compete over state lines, for small businesses to pool their resources. And I think he's using the negotiating skills that he uses as a businessman and frankly, the same skills that brought down the cost of the F-35 and the next generation of the Air Force One. To this issue to figure out how greater competition can lead to lower cost and greater access.
John Meacham.
Sean, wondering if you would argue that Congressman Lewis has a right to question the president-elect's legitimacy in light of reports and questions about the Russian involvement.
Well, of course he has a right to. Congressman Lewis and every American has a First Amendment right to say whatever they want. Unfortunately, the facts don't back that up. And I think that what is disappointing about this, John, is that, number one, the facts don't back it up. Donald Trump won with 306 electoral votes, 33 of 50 states, 9 of 13 battleground states, 2,600 counties, and the list goes on and on of how great the win was. But the reality is that, and there's no one, including the United States government, the DNI, the Department of Homeland Security, have all come out and said that there's no way that you can hack or change the outcome of our voting systems. We have a disparate voting. Some people vote by paper ballot, some by electronic scan, some by other electronic means. The idea that we could hack or change the outcome of an election is ridiculous. And the government was very clear of that before and after the election. So I think what the difference is, does John Lewis have a right to say it? Sure. We all have a right to say what we want. But I think the facts are clearly on the other side of what he did say. And I think further, someone of John Lewis's iconic stature And the idea, I mean, he is hands down one of the leading champions of voting and civil rights. And so when someone of that stature makes a comment like this that undermines the very principles that he's fought so hard for, I think it's just nothing short of disappointing.
Gene Robinson.
Yeah.
What the president-elect said about Congressman Lewis's district was, I think, in many ways more upsetting and more disturbing. He described it as falling apart and crime-ridden, and this is the way he always describes African-American communities. Why is that? And does he have any idea of what Black America actually is today?
Well, I think during the campaign, Gene, you saw him go to, Detroit, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Baton Rouge. He was going from city to city, talking about the plight of some of these cities and some of the issues that African Americans face, whether they're in inner city or in middle America, whether it's access to education, better education and choice in schools, better education and small business lending. He's been very clear about being a champion of not just Black America, regardless of where you live, but some of the problems that inner cities face where there's a higher urban population. So I think that he understands that. I think the point that he continues to make, and he said it to Hillary Clinton at one debate, focus on your own backyard. I think that there are a lot of problems that he thinks that Washington has overlooked and is too interested in rhetoric than results. So there is the distinction. He's talked about this before in terms of people not focusing on the major problems that we have as a country. But he wants to stand with John Lewis and anyone else who wants to fix our country, whether it's the inner cities or the issues that some of our more rural communities face.
All right, Sean, I know you're out of your window really quickly.
I think this is like my first press conference.
I know.
Except Joe, I may need you in the White House. I think you're calling on it's easier if you just call people.
No,
Oh boy, here we go.
I like it where I am. So tell me, just following up, if somebody was, though, in the White House, though, is there a chance that they would, when the press assembled, be actually in the White House or be across the street? I think that's the question that everybody in the press is asking this morning. Is there that chance, long term?
I don't know. I think right now our focus is on these briefings and how we can get more people access to them. So now they're in the Brady room.
There hasn't been a discussion about moving the press across the street?
It's not not in any substantive way, because you can't just move them across. There is no workspace right now for them anywhere but where they are. So I think right now all we're talking about,
whether there is a workspace across the street for them?
No, we're worried about our own workspace first. There's enough people trying to figure out where their office is going to be as we move into this new administration. I think right now our focus is on greater access to these briefings, bringing more reporters, more people into the process.
Sean, I understand outside the window. Thank you so much for being with us. Greatly appreciate it. John.